It's been a long time that we telling them that we tired to be arrested every time for nothing.
A report shows Black people in Repentigny, northeast of Montreal, are 3 times more likely to be stopped by police than their fellow residents. The report comes after a slew of criticism, lawsuits, and human rights complaints against the Service de Police de Repentigny for racial profiling, something Leslie Blot, a resident of Repentigny, says happens too often.
I heard that the chief of police of Repentigny looks surprised about it, but I don't know why. Because like everybody's know what happened in those streets.
Earlier this year, the Quebec Human Rights Commission called on the police force to review its police practices after a string of recent racial profiling complaints, including one from Blot, who was stopped, handcuffed, and ticketed for sitting in the passenger seat of a parked car in 2017.
They know from a long time that there's a problem, but they don't want to admit it. But years after years, there's more and more people that find complaint about them, on them.
It's a culture of resistance, and there's a culture of trivialization, and also the culture of denial that racism exists, that racial profiling exists. But more importantly, we think there's a culture in the police department of Repentigny that perhaps encourages racial profiling and that promotes racial profiling through a passive tolerance.
Back in October 2019, a similar report found Black and Indigenous people were 4 to 5 times more likely to be stopped by Montreal police. Now, in response to the new report targeting Repentigny police, the SPVR has released a 5-year action plan in which they identify new avenues of communication and community relations they say will allow for an inclusive police force. In a press release, Helen Dion, Repentigny Police Director, said our action plan aims to create organizational change based on equity, diversity, and inclusion principles and goes beyond tackling racial profiling. It was developed with the realities and experiences of our officers in mind, as well as the concerns and realities of organizations on our territory, something experts say is not the answer.
You can't talk about EDI, equity, diversity, inclusion, unless it carries penalties. It carries consequences when EDI is not enforced. EDI is a catchy term now these days, especially after George Floyd. Many companies in the private sector, public institution, everybody wants to go to EDI, but it's the difference between public relations and true organizational and systemic change.
They have to get punished when they caught them do things like that.
In Montreal, Samsara Rainville, City News.